Welcome to Off the Cuff with Emerging Leaders Society of Spokane, part of United Way of Spokane. I'm here today with CEO of United Way of Spokane, Mr. Tim Henkel. How are we doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Tim?
We're excited to be here. We thank you for your time. We're excited to learn a little bit about your path and leadership in Spokane, and wanted to give you a moment to introduce yourself and share with our followers. Then we'll jump into some questions.
Thanks, appreciate it. Again, Tim Henkel. I'm the President and CEO of Spokane County United Way. And what do we do as United Way? So we're an organization that works in this community, that fights for the health, education, financial stability for everyone. And what does that really mean? So really our goals are aimed at improving educational outcomes for everyone in this community, but more specifically, how can we help students of color and low-income students get through high school and then succeed on in life? How can we address health-related issues and specifically around abuse and neglect rates, which are more than 50% greater than what they are across the state? How can we help change that arc? And then financially stable. More than a third of the households here in Spokane County struggle every day to make ends meet. And so there's an intersection of all of those issues. And we do that by raising financial resources, volunteer time like you and your other ELS members do, but also bring voice to the issues that are in this community and how can we leverage financially, people resources, and the resources that exist in this community to aim at making those kinds of changes. So that's really the role that we play and bring people and organizations together to address those issues and others that are important to the community.
Awesome, thank you. Off the Cuff is about asking leadership and different questions about their path and their careers to different leaders through our community. So we're going to jump off. I'm going to give you a first question.
All right.
What is the most impactful risk that you've taken in your life? We're coming in hot, right?
Yeah. I gave you the hard thing about, don't do the Mike Wallace 60 Minutes thing on me, but good job. So the biggest risk that I took, honestly, I thought about this, is that I graduated from college and was driving a propane truck in the Santa Cruz Mountains and said, I don't think that's what I went to school to do. And so I raised my hand and said, I'm going to become a VISTA volunteer and pack up, move to some place called Grand Rapids, Michigan from California, and had no idea, one, where that was or what I was going to do. And I had a title called community organizer, and I have no idea what that was. But what it did is it took me on a journey, if you will, a risk. I had to step outside of every known comfort zone, people I knew, all of that, and said, what is it that I wanted to accomplish with my career, and to learn what that was. And so I took that role, spent a year as a VISTA, and in fact one of the things I know the ELS members are going to be doing is sending thank you notes to, we've got a bunch of AmeriCorps VISTAs here in Spokane that are working, and we're sponsoring here at United Way. And so that's a great thing to be able to say, one, thanks, and we appreciate what you're doing, because I was kind of lost figuring that out. But that led to me helping to start 2 neighborhood organizations in Grand Rapids, another not-for-profit, and then ultimately to a career now with United Way. I started working with United Way in 1983. Probably older than most of the audience at this point, but yes, at any rate, yes, I've been working for United Way since 1983, and I've been in 2 other communities before I came to Spokane here now 13 years ago.
Fantastic. Awesome. So our next question is, what is one failure you've had?
The failure for me is that I'll go back to coming into the VISTA role and then this not-for-profit journey that I've been on, and each of those were about what more could be done, and always that was driven by resources, energy, people, commitment. and I don't feel like I've ever generated enough of that. I would love to do more, and candidly, what I see the ELS members do, and other individuals that we work with, that's where we just need to do more and more of that. I was on a long call this morning with the CEO of Innovia Foundation, and we talked a lot about how we can create synergies and communications out in the community about what more can we accomplish together. So there's the failure for me, is that I've just never gotten enough done.
I think there's a lot of people in our community who would say you've contributed a lot, but
Sure.
certainly you can never do enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one of the big focuses, obviously, in the work that we do in volunteering is caring for others and their mental health.
Yeah.
So self-care, mental health have become a large conversation in our community.
Yeah.
What is one form of self-care that you put into practice?
Yeah. First of all, I'll say probably not enough. And this past year, all of us, I think, have really had to step back and think about that a lot. But so there isn't one thing that I do, Tim, but there's a lot of things that I ultimately do. Some of it is just to shut off. Grab a thriller novel and, race through that. But there'll be other times where it's just go for a walk, do something around the house, take a drive with my wife, whatever it might be, and just go and make something else happen for yourself that you can shut off for a certain period of time. Because any job, my job, your job, becomes really intense at some point. And if you just don't step back away from that, it turns into a spiral where you're not able to do what you need to do. And I've been in that place before and recognized it. And sincerely, this past year, I've probably spent more time going out, taking a walk, doing some other kinds of things that I may have not been doing as much as I'd like to before.
So you mentioned going on walks. Obviously, we live in Spokane, where
Yeah.
the amount of hikes and amazing outdoor experiences you can have are immense. What made you choose Spokane?
Never set foot in it before I came. The job, sincerely, is what brought me here. To be able to lead this organization is what brought me to Spokane. I would tell you honestly, I wish we had gotten here earlier. The nature that's here and the opportunities to do those walks, but also just the feel of the community. I don't need a big city. Seattle would drive me crazy. San Francisco, I grew up in Phoenix, drives me crazy. This works. We can do stuff. We can get things done. We know one another and make those kinds of connections. And I'm staying. My wife and I just built a house a year ago, and our kids are on the East Coast. We're going to see them on a regular basis, and this is home, and it's a great place.
Awesome. So you talked about Spokane having a lot of amazing things about it. What makes it unique to work in Spokane? What is one of the things that maybe makes Spokane stand out when you're in the professional space?
Yeah, the collaboration thing can happen. It maybe doesn't happen as much as it could, but it can happen, and we do that. And like I mentioned, I was on a conversation here earlier today with the head of the Innovia Foundation, and Shelley and I engage frequently together. And so what can we do as, again, two large organizations that are looking to move things forward in the community? Who can we work with, business leaders, school leaders, government leaders, to help make things happen? That's who we are, and I think that's the great impact and opportunity that exists for Spokane, and it is part of the reason why I stay, but it is also part of the reason why I think we're a great place, really a great place. I would tell you sincerely, I tell stories of things that we do with the public schools and others to colleagues across the country, and they go, "How did you do that?" I said, "Because we talked to them and asked them and got them involved." And they go, "Wow, that's great," because that just doesn't happen everywhere.
Yeah, the network that exists in Spokane, people talk about 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
Having grown up here,
Okay.
I would advocate that it's a city of 2 degrees of separation,
Okay.
which ultimately fosters a lot of that collaboration between organizations and the ability to build those relations
Yeah.
in a much simpler and faster fashion. So
Yeah.
we got one more question.
All right.
You can hear the passion for United Way. You can tell that you chose it for a reason. Maybe share with some of our followers why they should choose United Way based on a few of the reasons maybe you chose United Way.
The social issues that we all kind of point to in the community are really complex. And I would tell you honestly, I'll go all the way back to my Vista days. I'm knocking on doors and I'm asking them, what is concerning you in your neighborhood? And have them tell me stories, from getting a stop sign on the corner to keeping a fire station from getting closed in the neighborhood. But the more you talked with them, the more you found out other things that were going on in their lives. And so there's this really complex nature to what helps improve lives in a community. Financial stability, good jobs, training to get those good jobs, all of those kinds of things. So what kinds of things can I do to help make that happen? It's exciting for me, and I would hope it's exciting for others. The ELS members reflect that. And I guess if there's a message for me to leave behind with all of you, is that find that kind of space. Make it happen in your work. And if there are other things that you can then add and give, do that, because you all want to see everyone succeed. And so what is it that you can do in your work, in your volunteer time, in your giving, to help reflect that and bring more people along? Bring more people along. Just don't do it yourself. And so that's again where I see the great value of what the Emerging Leaders Society is doing for United Way, but more importantly for the community.
Fantastic. Well, we thank you for your time. We thank you obviously for your leadership, playing a major key in bringing back Emerging Leaders Society 6-7 years ago now.
Yeah.
And we look forward to some amazing projects moving forward.
Great. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you. Make sure to join us each month for Off the Cuff, where we ask Spokane's leaders some hard-hitting questions and learn more about their path in leadership and their career path.